As good as Andrew Garfield was in the role of Spider-Man, to me there will always be one true Spider-Man, and his name is Tobey Maguire. So a couple of hours ago I got back from seeing The Amazing Spider-Man, which is the rebooted Spider-Man movies. They're completely different from the Sam Raimi versions. It's directed by Mark Webb. It stars Andrew Garfield, Emma Stone, Dennis Leary, and Rhys Ifans. And this movie is about Peter Parker, and as a kid his parents leave him, and then the next time you see him is when he's grown up. He's in high school, he gets picked on a lot, and he's kind of secretly in love with this girl, Gwen Stacy. And then and he lives with his uncle and aunt, and also he kind of stumbles on something from his parents' past, and he uses that as kind of a clue to keep looking as to why his parents disappeared. And that kind of leads into this scientist, and this scientist is trying to grow his arm back. And let's just say he doesn't really succeed in doing that. Now going into this movie, I was looking forward to it. I wasn't, overly excited for it, but, it was one of my more anticipated movies of the summer. But I still thought that it was too early for a reboot. I mean, Spider-Man 3, which Sam Raimi directed, was only like 5 years ago, and I think that's way too soon for a reboot. I mean, even Batman, I think, was 8 years after what was that one? Batman and Robin, which was horrible. And that second Spider-Man movie kind of has a big sentimental value to me. As a child, I used to love that movie so much. I used to watch it all the time. And, when I heard they were making this, I wasn't disappointed. I wasn't mad that they were making it. I was just, like, kind of saying to myself, why? Why are you doing this? It's just, the series ended just a couple years ago. And having said all of that, I did enjoy this movie. Let's start off with the cast. So in the cast, you have Andrew Garfield playing Spider-Man. And I like Tobey Maguire in the role of Spider-Man more than Andrew Garfield, but still I thought he did a great job playing Spider-Man. His Spider-Man was more like kind of snarky and witty. He cracked more jokes than Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. From what I've heard, he's more accurate to the Spider-Man in the real comics. Also in this movie is Emma Stone playing Gwen Stacy, who is Spider-Man's love interest, and I thought she's great in this movie. She's one of my new favorite actresses. She's been in a lot of great movies over the past 5 years. Zombieland, Superbad, Easy A, a lot of great movies. Crazy Stupid Love was another good one. And some of my favorite scenes in this movie are between her and Andrew Garfield. I think they have great chemistry. A lot of their conversations, when they're starting to get to know each other, are really realistic. They're kind of awkward, and I really like that. I thought that those scenes together were some of my favorites, and they were really well written. So also in this movie is Dennis Leary, who plays Gwen Stacy's dad, and I actually really enjoyed his character in this movie. I'm a fan of Dennis Leary. I watched some episodes of Rescue Me, which was a show he was on. I like the Ice Age movies, some of them, and I thought he was great in this movie. He kind of surprised me. I didn't expect to like him as much as I did. And also in this movie is Rhys Ifans playing the Lizard, who, I wasn't really a huge fan of. Out of the main cast, he probably gave the worst performance. Not saying that he was bad in the movie, he just probably gave the worst performance out of the cast. And also, I think one of the reasons I didn't love him is because I didn't like his characters. I didn't love Dr. Connors, because I think they, and this isn't his fault, but I think they should have gone to a little more depth with his character. I think they wanted you to maybe feel for him a little bit, and you really didn't, and that was kind of a fault. It's one of the things I liked the least about the movie. They could have gone to more depth about why he's turning into Lizard. They could, they could have gone to more depth about the whole Lizard aspect of him. And the Lizard wasn't a horrible villain. He wasn't my favorite, But I think they're trying to, they're doing something smart. They're starting off the franchise with a villain that isn't as well known as, Green Goblin or Carnage. And then I think in the movies to come, they'll have, Green Goblin being one, Carnage being another. They'll start to have the more iconic Spider-Man villains. So I think it was kind of a smart move to have the Lizard in this movie. Also, there's a lot of build-up in this movie. I think the first 40 minutes of this movie are just, Peter Parker with his aunt and uncle, Peter Parker at high school, him kind of discovering, discovering his powers as Spider-Man. There's really not that much action. It kind of comes after that, where he gets into the fights with the Lizard, where he, starts stopping bad guys, and he kind of becomes more Spider-Man. And that's something you don't really see in comic book movies, a whole build-up, which was kind of something nice to see, a nice change of pace. And I thought the fight scenes between Spider-Man and the Lizard were just really great. Some really great fight scenes, some of the best I've seen in superhero movies, and I just really enjoyed them. But also, there's some really interesting shots in this movie. As you saw in the trailer, probably, I think it was the first trailer they released, there was a lot of first person, which a lot of people didn't really like. I wasn't a huge fan of it, but in this movie, first person actually kind of works. It makes you, especially if you're watching it in 3D, it makes you kind of feel like you're Spider-Man. You're swinging these, you're swimming from rooftops and everything. and I kind of like the first person in the movie. Also, I did see this movie in 3D, and although the 3D isn't great, if your theater is showing it in 3D, I would probably say go see it in that. You know, it's not horrible 3D. I mean, I think 3D in movies has been getting a lot better recently. And like I said, Mark Webb is the director, and he also directed 500 Days of Summer, a movie that I really enjoyed, one of my favorite romantic comedies. And he does a good job with this movie overall. There's some, decisions here and there that I would have changed, but, he still does a good job with it. I'm just gonna say, a lot of scenes that I didn't like in this movie took place at the high school. I felt like at his high school, revolving around his social life and everything, a lot of things were really cheesy and corny. A lot of the lines, said were cheesy. A lot of this, just a lot of the things he did were kind of corny and everything. And I think that was an aspect of the movie I didn't really enjoy so much. His scenes at the high school kind of felt like an 80s high school movie or something. So then it comes down to the question, which version is better, Mark Webb's or Sam Raimi's? I'm going to say, I think I like Sam Raimi's just a little bit more. Maybe it's because those movies are nostalgic to me, but I just enjoy those more, I had a more fun time watching them. But I still really like The Amazing Spider-Man, though. And can I just say, on a side note, how much I love these Stan Lee cameos in Marvel movies. I mean, I just loved him, I just love seeing him in these movies. He was in the original Spider-Mans, he was in the Avengers, he was in this one for a little bit. I just love seeing him in these movies. I think it's so cool. I thought this movie was going to go a little darker than it actually did go. It was just a step up in darkness from the original Sam Raimi movies. But overall, I did enjoy The Amazing Spider-Man. I didn't love it, but I still recommend you guys go seeing it. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. So that's my review of The Amazing Spider-Man. Leave a comment below saying if you want to see this movie, if you have seen this movie, and if you like it. Also leave a comment saying which version you like more, the Sam Raimi movies or this new Mark Webb movie. Also, if you want to say who played a better Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield or Tobey Maguire. Alright, that's it for today, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Alright, bye.